Welcome back to episode 107 of the Guardian Project podcast. I'm your host, Andy. And with all of the home remodeling that I'm doing, I'm just going to refer to it as my graceful restoration.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. Very fitting.
Nice. My kitchen was gracefully restored. If you saw that on Twitter and left me nice comments, thank you. And if you didn't leave a nice comment, go leave one.
That's right. Your kitchen is a hybrid black-white, like it's an Orzhov right now, right?
I have an Orzhov kitchen with gray walls, new light fixtures. So it's a countertop wrap, which I love. Mm-hmm. It's great, and I saved a ton of money by doing it by us doing it ourselves.
Sweat equity. Hell yeah.
Yes.
And I'm your other host, Mike Coyle. And did you know that Ravnica supports our new digital currencies?
No.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. I mean, Lannis is a crypto animal.
Please listen carefully.
Oh, okay. So if Lannis invested in the stock market, what stock would Lannis invest in? And that wasn't just a tongue twister. That's an actual question for you. What stocks should Lannis buy?
Oh, stocks? I mean, I guess he would want to be interested in like Coinbase and some things that trade cryptocurrencies.
Like
I would
Dogecoin?
Think. Yeah,
Is that still a thing we're investing in?
Yes, you can. Yeah, you could definitely buy it still. You can.
Okay, very, very good. This is not a stock portfolio podcast, so don't go buy Dogecoin because of us.
Yeah, this is not financial
Game
advice.
stonks all the way. Game stonks or bust. Are we still doing that?
To the moon, baby.
To the moon. And this is a podcast where we talk about all things Magic the Gathering and not stocks.
But mostly Commander.
But mostly Commander. So previews for Adventures in the Forgotten Realms started. So we are going to see those over the next week. Actually, it's funny. It feels like preview season just ended because Modern Horizons 2 came out about a week and a half ago. So
yes. So it's going to be pretty rapid fire, right? I mean, it has to be.
Yes. Some people still haven't gotten their product yet that they ordered online. So, previews start this week. So I'm excited to see some stuff from the D&D set. So I think in just 2 weeks, we'll be doing our episode on Adventures in the Forgotten Realms.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be tweeting about it. I know this Friday we should see all 4 Commander decks revealed. So
we are getting 4 Commander decks. And on Good Morning Magic, they did announce that we are going to see 4 more Commander decks this year, 2 with the Innistrad sets each.
Yeah,
so
very
we're
exciting.
Get 4. It is very exciting.
We thought last year was the year of Commander. It's just every year is the year of Commander.
Every year is the year of Commander.
All right. So also in news, we have our Summer of Legends promos. So this is for the Love Your Local Game Store. There is a series of Old Border promos. So we saw the Old Border Fabled Passage promo that was...
Love it.
Yeah, it was like if you spent at least, X amount of dollars at your local game store.
I think it was $50. That's what our store did.
Mm-hmm. During the Modern Horizons 2 events and stuff, that you would get this old Fabled Passage, which it is beautiful. I was able to get one. But there's gonna be 5 more promos that they're going to be offering. That's an Aven Mind Sensor, a Dig Through Time, Bolus's Citadel, Goblin Guide, and Scavenging Ooze. So, and it also is going to come with an MTG Arena code to unlock those, and that Arena code is also going to have alternate art Planeswalker sleeves. So if you're looking to get that for Arena, those are some really cool things. On top of that, there is also, in addition to the Mystery Booster Convention Edition coming to in-store events this August, WPN Premium stores will also receive an amazing series of promotional versions of Adventures in the Forgotten Realms rares and mythic rares featuring the iconic Dungeons & Dragons ampersand. The ampersand promos are traditional foil with a glossy D&D ampersand overlaying the entire card. Stores can offer these cards in a variety of ways, so make sure that you go to your LGS to find out how you can earn one of these promos because they are super cool.
Yeah, they are really, really cool. And in more MTG Arena announcements, pre-orders for Adventures in the Forgotten Realms have started. You can get a Loth Pack bundle. Now, I'm not a D&D person. Like, I don't know the lore. I've played it, but I'm not the most up to date on the lore. Is it pronounced Eliwick?
I think so. I think it's Eliwick.
Okay,
yeah.
So there's also an Eliwick play bundle, and then you can get your companion, your little character as well. The Chromatic Cube just started, so it's the newest cube in MTG Arena. It's running from June 25th through July 8th. This cube is focusing on being in lots of colors and having a lot of mana. And then the end of Jumpstart is coming up. And then there's going to be a Turbo Draft Ikoria Lair of Behemoths from June 26th through the 29th. So that's actually only going to be here for a short period of time. Otherwise, MTG Arena is still MTG Arena. You can play Historic there, which is apparently becoming super popular again.
Oh yeah. Very, very much.
Yeah.
Now
really
that they banned Thoracle out, right? Or no, they banned Tainted Pact away.
Tainted Pact is gone. Is the extra turn?
Yeah.
So extra turns card is gone as well. But also we've got 2 new patrons, Chris Fitzgerald and Micah Manthai. Thank you so much for your support. It's the more people we have in this project, the easier it's going to be to finish. So next week, please cite your sources.
Yeah, you got to do it. Sorry, it's just part of the deal.
You'll get in trouble if you don't. We do not plagiarize. And if you would like to support us, you can head to patreon.com/theguardianprojectpod.
And if you're looking for another way to support the podcast, whatever platform you are enjoying the podcast on now, if you could subscribe, rate, hit the thumbs up. If you're on YouTube, hit that bell icon in order to get notifications whenever we upload our new videos. We really appreciate the support, and definitely interact with us in the comment section. We love it.
And you can find us online at theguardianprojectpodcast.com. You can find our social media on Twitter at GuardianPod and our gameplay videos at youtube.com/theguardianproject. If you want to email us at guardianprojectpod@gmail.com. Coyle, what is on the agenda this week?
Well, this weekend in the United States, we're celebrating the 4th of July. Which is all about our USA flag. It's all about red, white, and blue. So this week, we're going to talk about red, white, and blue. We're going to talk about Jeskai.
It is time to talk about Jeskai. So you ready to head into it?
Yeah.
So we haven't done a 4th of July episode before, and we realized it's a missed opportunity. We've got an entire wedge here that we could talk about. So we're going to talk about all things Jeskai this week. So we're going to talk about our top commanders, some of our favorite spells, and decks that we've played or played with our friends or friends of the show. So the first deck that I'm going to mention here, I guess, is the number 1 most built commander in the Jeskai variety. Kaikar, Wind's Fury, a 3/3 bird wizard with flying for 1, blue, red, and white. That says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying, sacrifice a spirit to add red to your mana pool. There are 4,064 of these listed on EDHREC.
Yeah. No, super
many.
popular.
I've played against this deck so many times. I really do like this deck.
Yeah, and it's really versatile too. I mean, you could use Kaikar just as like a mana sink or a way to produce mana. You could do it spirit tribal, flying tribal, spell casting, cantrips. There's so many different ways you can build Kaikar, and I think that is why you're seeing so many decks for this commander.
Yep, I agree. I've seen this, it's not even always just a spell slinger deck, which is nice. I've seen this built with vehicles. I've seen this built with equipment. You can put a lot of equipment on Kaikar. And I don't feel like you're ever really short on mana in a Kaikar deck because of the number of spirits that you do make when you cast those non-creature spells. Even just 2 or 3 gives you enough mana to just kind of keep trucking.
It's true. I wonder if there's like a Kamigawa spirit build for this that takes advantage of death triggers or something. I feel like the death trigger spirits are mostly in like black or maybe green, but like some aspects or something. I'm curious if you have a Jeskai aspect Kaikar list, I want to see it.
Yeah, it looks like at least if you look at the themes, you can play Oyobi, who Split the Heavens, which says whenever you play a spirit or arcane spell, you make a 3/3 spirit creature token flying. So there is that. There is definitely a token theme here with some spirits. It looks like a lot of the spirits though came from the Innistrad block, because that was a thing.
Ooh,
the blue-white spirits with Drogskull Captain, Twilight Drover, even from Ravnica. So I don't think I've seen a Kaikar spirits theme. It was mostly just the spirits that you just make by happenstance.
Right. Well, that makes the most sense. It's the easiest way. But we have seen this deck actually see a lot of upgrades recently. We know that Strixhaven came in with their new keyword Magecraft. So you see cards like Archmage Emeritus that has Magecraft, where you get to draw cards, and Stormkiln Artist, which is just going to double your mana production in a Kaikar deck by making treasures along with your spirits that you could sacrifice for red mana. So I feel like if for as popular of a deck Kaikar is, I'm curious to know how many of them have been updated since the Strixhaven update.
Right. No, I have not played against it in a couple of weeks here, but I assume we're going to see quite a bit of that. Strixhaven gave a lot to Commander in that Magecraft mechanic.
For sure. And I definitely know that we're going to keep seeing commanders here that are going to take advantage of that in the Jeskai colors.
Yes. What is the next one?
The next commander on our list is a commander that was in the 99 of a commander precon, actually, and that is Elsha of the Infinite. So Elsha is a 3/3 Dijin monk Jin monk for 5 mana. So 2, a blue, red, white with prowess that says you may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast the top card of your library if it's a non-creature, non-land card, and you may cast it as though it had flash. So this particular deck, again, cares about spell casting of just non-creature spells. I'm gonna love these new Magecraft cards. There's a couple Modern Horizons 2 cards that actually are going to start fitting into this deck, like Urza Saga and Esper Sentinel. Urza Saga actually does seem like a particularly good card in this deck because of an infinite combo. Andy, do you want to talk about the Elsha Infinite?
Is it? I actually didn't. I didn't realize Urza Saga grabs the top. So that is the top combo with. Oh my God! Why can't I think of it, Coyle? No, you take it.
Well, take
it.
It's any cost reducer for your artifact, and Sensei's Divining Top with Elsha of the Infinite. Allows you to draw your entire deck, have infinite cast triggers and stuff. So how the combo works is if you can get Sensei's Divining Top to cost 0 mana instead of 1.
So like a Foundry Inspector that says artifacts cost 1 less to cast.
Perfect. That's a wonderful example. I know if you look this up in Commander Spellbook, there's probably going to be like 100 combos of the exact same
Joyra's
thing.
familiar to make historic spells cost 1 less.
Exactly. So anything like that. So Sensei's Divining Top, when it's on the top of your library, you can cast it for 0 with Elsha, and then you can activate Sensei's Divining Top to tap it, draw a card, and put Sensei's Divining Top back on top of your deck. So if you have an Elsha of the Infinite, you should definitely put a Sensei's Divining Top in there if you can afford one. And if you can also afford an Urza Saga to tutor it up in the form of an enchantment land, which is pretty cool. You might even be able to use Urza Saga for its second ability if you really went heavy into the artifact theme for this particular deck. I know a lot of people do. This is kind of the Jeskai Joyra, because Joyra is the Storm commander. So Elsha can be your Jeskai Storm commander, and yeah, I haven't seen it.
Think about using Urza Saga and waiting 3 turns.
Yeah, it's not bad, or proliferating it up to 3 somehow. I don't know if you're going to be running proliferate in an Elsha deck. I've never seen that before, but maybe.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that until literally you said it.
That's pretty cool.
That's interesting. It's funny. I don't have an Urza Saga, but with all the chatter that's going on online, might be something worth waiting for.
Yeah, it's being used.
It's real good in the food deck.
It's being used so widely. I think the problem is being used so widely in so many different decks, and I don't think Wizards likes it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. But Elsha of the Infinite it's a really cool card. I think at this point it's got a lot going for it. Just being able to look at the top card of your library and cast a non-creature, non-land card as though it had flash. That's just so good.
Yeah, because you can play, again, non-creature, non-land, that's enchantments, that's artifacts, and obviously instants and even sorceries at instant speed is kind of crazy in a lot of cases.
Yep. You just hold up all that mana and you pass, and then I'm afraid you have a counterspell, but you don't. You actually just are going to play 4 cool cards over the course of everyone else's turn this round.
There's a brand new card in Modern Horizons 2 I want to point to called Sudden Edict. It's a split-second edict that will work really well against an Elsha deck.
So tell us what this card does.
So Sudden Edict is an instant speed split-second card that says each opponent sacrifices a creature.
If only it wasn't in black, though.
Sorry, it says each player sacrifices a creature. That's right. You can't play it in Elsha, but you wouldn't really want to because you're probably only going to be playing Elsha as your only creature. Unless you get some gutter snipes and stuff in there too, I guess. So if
you got a dock side, you got a Tailrand. If you're playing a Spellslinger version, I guess you got Tailrand, which can make a bunch of those tricks.
Oh yeah. But they need to reprint Talrand though. The price of Talrand is so expensive. They need to start reprinting them in every sense. And if you don't understand that joke, go on Scryfall and look up every single printing of Talrand.
Exactly. The next commander on this list, the third most built Jeskai commander, is Gavi Nestwarden. So pretty recent, right? So this was just last year when the Ikoria commander decks came out. So Gavi Nestwarden is a 2/5 human shaman for 2 blue, red, white that says you may pay 0 rather than pay the cycling cost of the first card you cycle each turn, and has, whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 2/2 red and white dinosaur cat creature token, which is the cutest token. This deck, it's so consistent because there are so many cycling cards.
Oh yeah,
there are so many.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty.
They're
great.
On lands, they're on creatures, they're on spells, they're on all the things. That if once Gavi's out, like there are some commanders that I definitely don't remove. Like there's some commanders I don't. And I go, oh, that's a cool card. Like I wouldn't remove, I don't know, if someone was playing like a pirate deck or something, just like tribal decks, I don't always remove them because
sure.
They help the deck work. But Gavi Nestwarden is one of those commanders where they get instant value and on every single turn with that cycling, and then they can, oh my god, it's just too much. It's too much. I remove Gavi. I don't think I remove Elsha or Kaikar. Gavi's got to go.
I definitely would. I think all three are super big targets. I guess that's a good way to look at these themes so far. Is all of them are definitely built around the commander for sure. None of them are. Yeah. I guess are like you don't build around them. And Gavi requires cycling. I really like Gavi as the cycling version of Anji Falconwrath for Madness, because like. In an Anji deck, you could put 50 Madness cards in them. It doesn't even matter what they are because you're just going to put them in your graveyard and move on with your life the same way with Gavi. Except with cycling cards in Gavi, there's some good Madness cards, sure. But with cycling cards in Gavi, there's stuff that counters spells and counters activated abilities when you cycle it that you can now cycle for free with Gavi. Oh, yeah, it's amazing. And you get the 2/2 cats whenever you're drawing cards. Really fun deck.
You can cycle an expensive card for free on someone else's turn, and then you cycle a card for 1, right? So you still have a ton of mana, and then you make the cat, and then you have, you've replaced the card twice. It's really good. And this deck got some new stuff from Modern Horizons 2, right? So it got Timeless Dragon, which has plane cycling for 2. Conspiracy Theorist, which says whenever it attacks, you can pay 1 and discard a card. If you do, draw a card. So you're still working with that discard synergy. And it says whenever you discard 1 or more non-land cards, you may exile 1 of them from your graveyard. If you do, you may cast it this turn. So you can discard it away because part of cycling is discard this card, and you can exile it and then cast it and still get the cycling.
Oh yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah, there's some. I really like that tech. That Conspiracy Theorist, I think, needs to see a lot more play. And I can't wait to finally see it being played in a deck like this, or like a Riel the Everwise or something like that, to do some really big power. That card's 35 cents right now, or 25 cents on Card Kingdom. Definitely look at picking up that card and put it in some other decks. But yeah, I really like the Timeless Dragon too, with plane cycling and Eternalize. You get to make a black zombie, right? And they're very well may be an anointed procession in this Gavi Nestwarden deck, because you are a tokens deck. So maybe you're going to get 2 Timeless Dragon tokens or something. Maybe you can play into that token strategy as well. So there even is a few different strategies you can take with Gavi. So the next commander on our list, Andy. You know this commander like the back of your hand.
I do. And I think I also featured this in the episode that we called And For That Reason I'm Sorry. Or at least the segment.
You sure did.
I'm pretty sure it was there. So this is Narset Enlightened Master. You know, funny enough, the next two commanders were commanders that I had built. But in Narset Enlightened Master, a 3/2 first strike hexproof human monk for 3 blue, red, and white that says, whenever Narset Enlightened Master attacks, exile the top 4 cards of your library. Until end of turn, you may cast non-creature cards exiled with Narset this turn without paying their mana costs. A 3/2 with first strike and hexproof for 6 is not really great. It's just it's expensive, but hexproof's cool. First strike
cool.
Doesn't really matter, I guess, kind of. But the exiling 4 cards of your library and then casting them for free until the end of turn without paying their mana cost, just for free, is bananas. And if you're looking at this deck, the top theme is one that most people apologize for and tear it apart after they've done it, which is extra turns. So you just run all of them. And so if you exile 3 of them at the same time, you stack 3 extra turns in a row. And even if Narset got removed, you usually get enough mana back to play Narset on the second turn or even the third turn. Or I don't know, if you got a card that gives you multiple turns, like a time stretch, right? So you take 3 or 4 turns. It just kind of chains. But there's also cards like Omniscience, where you play it for free, and then all your spells are you may cast spells from your hand without paying their mana cost. Very consistent deck. I don't see it anymore. I don't know the last time I played against an Narset deck. It's been at least 2 years.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, people with their free spells decks or something are probably going to play 5 color rather than 3 color, maybe. And you know, maybe there's something in Ikoria that they floated to in their free spells deck or something. I know I have my Illuna deck, but it's not very free spells. But you know, Joda is a pretty cool quote unquote Wooburg spells rather than free spells for the big stuff. But yeah, maybe it just got too pigeonholed into extra turns, extra combats. But I did want to mention, you said, you know, if you have the extra mana on your extra turns to recast Narset after it gets removed. I mean, hats off to whoever removed the hexproof creature. I mean, good job on you finding a way to do it. Maybe you played Sudden Edict. I mean, maybe that card is...
a lot of the time it's just because Narset has to swing and they had a big enough creature and you had just no good options.
Fair. That's fair.
Or you swung at them and they had like a 2/2. And you go, well, I have first strike, and then they pump their creature, and then Narset dies. I mean, that is a very good strategy against the Narset player, is pumping your own creatures.
Getting Got by Giant Growth, a Narset novel.
Oh, we should write that book.
That'd be pretty good. All right. So the next card on the list here, the 5th card on our top Jeskai list, is one that I had the pleasure of playing against until the sun rose one time.
Sun came up.
That's right. And that is Zedru the Great-Hearted. So Zedru the Great-Hearted is a 2/4 Minotaur monk. For 4 mana, you have 1 blue, red, and a white that says at the beginning of your upkeep, you gain X life and draw X cards, where X is the number of permanents you own that opponents control. And then you can pay the Jeskai colors, blue, red, and white. Target opponent gains control of target permanent you control. So you might think, like, why would I want to give my permanents to my opponents? Like, well, just have bad permanents and then give the bad permanents to your opponents. That's really what the answer is. So there's a few cards that have been printed recently that are going into this deck. Actually, in Modern Horizons 2, a card that I played in pre-release that I was kind of scratching my head about whether or not I actually wanted to play it as a benefit for myself is Moderation. Moderation is a 3-mana enchantment, 1 white and a blue, that says you can't cast more than 1 spell each turn, but whenever you cast a spell, you get to draw a card. So it's pretty good in instant spell decks, but maybe there's a creature-focused deck that you would want to give this to. So that's kind of what Zedru, the theme is, right? Is to give permanents away that hurt your opponents. and then
hurt them far more than it hurts you, or you give them away something that benefits everybody, and then they just have a permanent so that you can at least gain life.
Oh, there you go.
And draw
give away a Howling Mine so that everyone gets to draw extra cards.
Give away a Rhystic Study. No, don't give that
don't
away.
Do that.
That doesn't benefit you. But Howling Mine is a very good card to give away in this deck. But there are some new cards that I haven't played in this deck, like 9 Lives that came out in M21 last year. Hexproof, if a source would deal damage to you, prevent that and put an incarnation counter on 9 lives. When there's 9 or more counters on 9 lives, exile it, and when it leaves the battlefield, you lose the game.
Yes,
that's
if you
that's a win con in Zedru.
Very much so. And if someone plays like an enchantment board wipe or something, and you have your Zedru up, you can hold up the mana to give it away to someone, whoever does the board wipe.
I assume you can play 9 lives, give it away, and then you're in Jeskai, so you can bounce it to its owner's hand.
Oh, that's hilarious.
With a blue spell.
Yeah, or
it's crazy.
God, that's so crazy. It's cool to see it. I know and
this is when we lose all of our followers as we're cackling about bouncing a 9 lives we gave to somebody.
I am surprised to see that Wrong Turn isn't in this list, because it doesn't exactly fit the theme of you giving away one of your permanents, but the kind of whole mixing around other people's permanents and everything. So maybe that's one card that I would suggest maybe sees more play here. But I am excited. I would like to put together a Blim list, which is the Rakdos version of Zedru, of giving away permanents, except your opponents have negative effects rather than you getting positive effects for them owning your permanents. So very unique. Again, one of these commanders that maybe isn't well played over webcam, because you have to give away your permanents to other people. There's a way to do it. It's just a little bit difficult, a little difficult to organize. So hopefully in paper play, we get to see Zedru pop up a little bit more.
Yeah. So let's talk about the top Jeskai spells, right? So we just picked a couple of Jeskai spells that we like and that we actually have played with a couple of times here. So the first spell is Whirlwind of Thought, actually a newer card, right? Just about a year ago from Ikoria. So this is 1 blue, red, and white, an enchantment that says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you draw a card. I really like this card. I didn't play this a ton in Commander, but this works really well in every single one of those decks that we just talked about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, non-creature spell, doesn't care if it's instant, sorcery, artifact, whatever. And you just get to free draw cards. I mean, if I compare this to a deck that I have, Vega the Watcher is a 3-mana creature where I have to cast cards from a specific zone in order to draw a card. I guess it doesn't care about the card type, but this is only 4 mana. It's on an enchantment, which we talked about before being a permanent that's a little bit more difficult to remove in terms of what your options are, unless you're in green, because then it's pretty easy, or white. But enchantments being more difficult to remove than creatures, so it's got sustainability, and you're just going to draw your whole deck with this thing.
It's really funny that so looking at the top commanders for this, Nostro, Voice of the Crags, is actually number 1 for this. This is based on percentage of the decks it's played in, though. And then Ashai Kedis, and then Krom Arden. Literally did not expect that. However, it's played in a ton of Kaikar decks. So it's not like it's not being played. It's just percentage-wise, with these decks that aren't built as often, it's appearing much more than in the other decks, like a Kaikar, Elshina, even Savine the Chronoclasm. Yeah, I think this is just a really good card, and it works so well for those 3 colors together.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, I think the only reason it's not being played in Kaikar more is because it's the exact same CMC as Kaikar, and I think the curve might be a little bit too important in those decks.
Okay.
Maybe. But I know that number 1 of Nostro, Voice of the Crags, really cares about tapping and untapping, so I'm curious, before I move on to this next tab in my internet, if it's also the number 1 card for the next Jeskai card we have here, which is Jeskai Ascendancy. So Jeskai Ascendancy is a blue, red, white enchantment. This is whenever you cast a non-creature spell, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Untap those creatures. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. So you get to do some looting on top of untapping your creatures and giving all of your creatures prowess. I mean, this is pretty much prowess text right here, except it has the added benefit of If your creature has prowess, they're just going to get +2/+2 every single time you cast the spell. And I'm very happy to announce that Nostro is number 1 in this as well for this card. So if you didn't know, Nostro is a legendary Chimera 3/3 for 4 mana, 1 blue, red, and a white. That says tap it, choose 1. X is the number of spells you've cast this turn. Scry X, or Nostro deals X damage to target creature, or you gain X life. So this would be particularly good with the enchantment that's untapping your creatures every time you cast a spell.
Yeah, and then Shu Yun the Silent Tempest is actually number 2 for this card. But Kaikar, Elsha, I mean, they're all appearing. But Jeskai Ascendancy was such a fun card during Standard. There was the Jeskai Ascendancy combo that cared about. There was a card, the word Helix was in it. Basically, you would bounce something back and forth to your hand and then combo out. And that was really, really fun during the Cons Block Standard. I don't see this card played very often, and I've never seen this card played in Commander. Have you?
I haven't, which is very surprising to me because I can imagine people adopting this particular enchantment when Paradox Engine got banned or something. It does only untap creatures. Maybe the fact that it doesn't untap all permanents, that's why people aren't playing it or something. But maybe the fact that it doesn't actually give haste and people want it to do that as well. I don't know. This is a lot for 3 mana. This should be being played more.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, so the next card here I actually put on this list because I am a huge fan of this card in Cube, and it is from Ravnica, specifically Dragon's Maze, and this is one of the fuse cards, Catch and Release. So Catch is 1, a blue, and a red for a sorcery that says gain control of target permanent until end of turn. Untap it, it gains haste until end of turn. I really like those threaten or those gain control effects. It's great. And then Release is a sorcery for 4, a red, and a white that says each player sacrifices an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, a land, and a planeswalker. And you can fuse them by paying the full converted mana cost of both sides of the card. I don't think I've only ever seen this played in Cube. The top commander for this, it's only listing Zedru the Greathearted.
Yep.
It doesn't list any of the other Jeskai commanders because this isn't just an inherently. I feel like this is the least Jeskai of the Jeskai cards we're talking about.
Oh, I definitely agree. I mean, if you look at this card, it looks very Izzet on one side and Boros on the other side. And I'll be honest, this is the first time I'm looking at this card, and even I've never in my life.
You've never even seen. Okay, well, it is in the Ravnica cube, and it is definitely an Izzet card and a Boros card. But I think that both of those have pretty different. Jeskai is pretty different from the two of those. It's more closely related to Izzet, I would say, than the Boros. But it's a Boros card that's interesting to see us sack so many different things.
It is. It's interesting. Boros Edict effect. It's cool. I'm interested. I'm interested in putting this in a deck. I don't know what deck I would put it in. I'm interested.
Yeah. So Zedru's going to take the cake for this one.
Awesome. All right. The next card we're going to talk about, Namesake for Jeskai. I know we've already talked about Jeskai Ascendancy. How about Jeskai Charm? Jeskai Charm is an instant speed spell for a blue, red, and a white that says choose 1. Put target creature on top of its owner's library. Jeskai Charm deals 4 damage to target opponent, or creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain lifelink until end of turn. Top commanders for this are Shun Yun, the Silent Tempest, and Akeem, the Soaring Wind. Followed closely by a non-Jeskai commander, Ramos, Dragon Engine, which, to be honest, probably uses this charm a little bit better than the Jeskai commanders in here. So, yeah, I mean, it's a cool card. The charms, I never know what they do. I could read them a million times. I don't know which one does what, and I have to read them every single time that they come into my hand. Being able to bounce a creature onto top of someone's library. I mean, the modal effects of charms are always a really awesome thing. If you didn't know, there is a huge cycle of charms in both 2-color combinations and 3-color combinations. There's even multiple 3-color combinations, some that mimic the wedges and some that mimic dragon, like elder dragons. The modal effects on here always make these cards really fun to run. There's always going to be use for them in a game, and they're instant speed and they're in your colors. So why not?
Yeah, I don't think I play with Jeskai Charm. Right. You know what's funny is after looking at all of my decks, I have moved so far away from playing a 3-color deck. I just every deck that I've been building is just 2 colors. I mean, I don't even think it's intentional. I don't know the last time I built a 3-color commander.
I'm so far in the opposite direction. Every single deck that I make now is like 3 colors because of partners. I'll take a 2-color and a 1-color partner. Yeah.
Yeah, the last time I made partners, I guess it was 3 colors. So I made Grixis partners. But this is the Jeskai episode, so we're not going to talk about it, okay?
I have Jeskai partners. I have Jeskai partners. That's fine.
Yeah, well, that's coming up. All right. We got a couple more spells here, and then we want to talk about some decks that we've played and some decks that we've played with friends of the show. So the next card here is Flying Crane Technique. So this is an instant for 3 blue, red, and white that says untap all creatures you control. They gain flying and double strike until end of turn. Really, really expensive, I think, is the issue with this card. If this cost 4, I don't know if it would be played more. It's Commander, so I personally don't think that the difference of that 2 mana necessarily matters on whether or not someone would put it in their deck. I do think it matters on whether or not we're going to see it cast, because they might want to cast other things over this, and that might be the issue with why Flying Crane Technique gets cut so often. So it's only in 385 decks, to be fair, and the top 2 commanders here are Shu Yun, the Silent Tempest, and Narset, Enlightened Master. And looking at these right now, Shu Yun gains prowess, and then it already wants to do double strike, right? So if you the problem with it is you're paying 6 mana to really give the prowess, because Shu Yun can give itself, or I guess a creature, double strike by paying 2 whenever you cast a 9 creature spell. This is kind of expensive for what it does, but at least there is flying. But with Narset, you get double strike and flying is sometimes what you need to just be able to swing with Narset and not feel like you're going to just get blown out of the water if you whiff with your top 4 cards that you're going to cast for free.
Yeah. I just don't know a situation where you want to untap your creatures in the first main phase. Like in Jeskai, how are you tapping your creatures for your benefit where you need to untap them before you move to combat? Like I feel like there's 4 lines of of story text on here, and because of that, they couldn't put also you get to take an extra combat this turn. I feel like it's missing that part of the text, because you get to untap all your creatures and then they gain all these combat tricks. Or maybe it's meant to be done during combat before blocks, I guess. So then it's pseudo vigilance flying double strike
speed. It is instant speed. So there is that. But you want to do it before blockers, I feel like, at least with Narset, to give evasion.
Yeah, I mean, the flying part doesn't make sense to do it anywhere other than before blockers. But then, the double strike is, I guess, I don't know. I guess it makes it modal, so you could wait until after blockers if you want to do a combat trick to destroy a creature, or you can do it before blockers if you just want to get in for some huge flying damage. It's not worth 6 mana, I don't think.
Yeah, probably not.
But you know what? It's a 4th of July episode. That means we're going to need some fireworks. And there's, in my opinion, there's only one card in the Jeskai colors that you could really say, oh yeah, that's the Jeskai fireworks card. And that's Inspired Ultimatum from Ikoria. So we got to finish the Ultimatum cycle in Ikoria. So Inspired Ultimatum, might as well say Jeskai Ultimatum. It's fine. It's the same thing. If for blue, blue, red, 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 white, white, you get a sorcery that says target player gains 5 life. Inspired Ultimatum deals 5 damage to any target, and then you draw 5 cards. So if that's not what Jeskai is right there about bolting people, gaining life, and drawing cards, I don't know what Jeskai is then.
Yeah, this is a fun card. It looks like the top commanders, funny enough, are not Jeskai commanders here, but we do see the first Jeskai commander that does pop up in this list is again Nostro, Voice of the Crags, and I wonder if it's just because Nostro's more recently printed, obviously in Commander Legends with Ikoria, and maybe people were just trying to try it out with these fun Jeskai spells that aren't necessarily played in these more tuned or decks that want a specific theme. Like Nostro doesn't seem like it needs a theme other than being able to untap.
Right. It's like Nostro, if you want to call it a theme, like Storm, because you want to cast more spells, you probably don't want to play a 7-mana sorcery in your Storm deck. But if it's just the Jeskai deck, I mean, you got to do it.
Yep. You're right. All right, so let's talk about some Jeskai Commander decks that we own. Let's start actually, Coyle, with one of the most recent decks that you built, a partner deck that's actually really cool.
Yeah, so I wanted to make a Livio Oathsworn Sentinel deck. So that's one of the new partners from Commander Legends. Livio Oathsworn Sentinel for 1 and a white, legendary creature, human knight 2/2. It says you can pay 1 and a white and choose another target creature. Its controller may exile it with an Aegis counter on it. And then another activated ability of 2 and a white and tap to return all exiled cards with Aegis counters on them to the battlefield under their owner's control. So this was a blink deck, basically. It's a slow blink. It's a flicker deck, technically. So I can exile stuff away for a very long time or for a short amount of time and then return them with Livio's ability. And I wanted to enable this into a 3-color deck, and I decided that Jeskai was going to be the best colors for a Spellslinger blink deck. So here's another strategy that you can do in Jeskai. The partner for Livio is Ludovic Necro Alchemist. It's a 3-mana human wizard 1/4. For 1, a blue and a red. This is the beginning of each player's end step. That player may draw a card if a player other than you lost life this turn. So it incentivizes life loss to my opponents, which technically you can hurt yourself with like Cities of Brass and stuff and activate this and actually get to draw a card at your end step by hurting yourself. But the reason I went with Ludovic over Ludovic's Opus, Kraum. Kraum is a better at swinging, and the card draw is only for yourself, but it's more mana. And actually, with Ludovic, I can exile Ludovic away with Livio and make it so that I'm the only person that gets the benefits from Ludovic and not everyone on the board. So the main win conditions for this are like blink effects, infinite combos with Kiki Jiki and Corridor Monitor. So Corridor Monitor has an enter the battlefield effect to untap target creature or artifact. Kiki Jiki is a hasty creature that you can tap it and create a token of a creature that you control, a non-legendary creature that you control. So you keep creating copies they have haste. You keep creating copies of Corridor Monitor and they untap Kiki Jiki and you swing out with all those. There's some Peregrine Drake shenanigans, and so I had a lot of fun building my partner's deck in the Jeskai colors. And one thing that I noticed when I built it is Jeskai is really good for control packages, removal, counter spells, board wipes. They really will get a game to the end game, so you can do some of these slower strategies like the blink effect strategy.
It was, when we played against this deck, you started out and you said, I'm not really sure where this is. And there are some commanders, it's just hard to judge. Like when you look at Livio, you're like, is this really good? Like, I'm not actually sure. And then Ludwig, I mean, we've seen it before. And it held its own in a pretty decent pod.
Yeah, it grinds games out. That's really what it's good at doing. It's got enough removal to take out other people's big stuff. It's got a couple counter spells and it's got a couple board wipes. So it'll get to an end game, and then it's whether or not you can get your combo together or not.
And how does it feel knowing that you contributed to one of the full 8 decks listed with these 2 commanders on EDHREC?
It feels so good. You
are know. 1/8 of every single Ludwig Livio player.
I'm 12.5% of Livio and Ludovic players. Wow. I love this. I feel so special right now. I feel so special. I'm going to do this deck as our Patreon deck tech for next month. That's what I'm going to do.
All right. Another deck that we actually got to see on stream. So if you go to our YouTube channel, you can find this game. We actually had Nick Martin from the Scrap Trawlers played Vadrak. Oh my gosh. Vadrak, Apex of Thunder. I wanted to add an X to Vadrox, but it's not Vadrox.
Vadrox. Vad on the rocks.
Vad on the rocks. So this was the mutate creature. We did talk about this during our Commander Spellbook episode after Modern Horizons 2 came out. But I remember that Nick played this it was an artifact deck. And it was very strong. It was a budget deck, and I think Nick actually won. Spoiler alert from last year. I'm pretty sure that deck won, and it was very cool watching it all the way to the very end.
Yeah, I never would have expected. I mean, Vadrock cares about casting non-creature spells from your graveyard. And I never thought about Jeskai graveyard stuff. I mean, I guess we had Savine, which cared about flashback from the graveyard, but I never suspected a Jeskai permanence matter graveyard deck. Ikoria was crazy. I don't know if people like put that into perspective with these legendary creatures we got from my Ikoria. It was crazy. Some of these guys have some really cool abilities that people just I don't think have even seen yet.
And now, Nick mentioned, at least online, that he might add Chef's Kiss to his deck. So, and I fully support that. I'm here for that, Nick. Thank you for doing that. And once you get it on camera, please direct me to the video so I can watch it in all its glory.
Yeah, watch it, post about it, retweet it, blog about it. Absolutely.
Exactly.
So speaking of Nick Martin, I was actually on his show a couple weeks ago, the Scrap Trawlers, where we did $50 budget decks and we all had a different letter. And another guest on that show, Quad Nines, had the letter R, where she built a Ruhan deck. Ruhan is also of the Jeskai colors, and this was a Ruhan Chaos deck. So if you don't know, Ruhan is a 4-mana giant warrior, 7/7. So 4 mana 7/7. 1 red, white, and a blue. But it says at the beginning of combat on your turn, choose an opponent at random. Ruhan of the Fomari attacks that player this combat if able. So it was an all chaos deck. It was super fun to see. It wasn't Warp World, but I can't remember the enchantment where whenever you cast a spell, you reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a spell that shares a spell type with it, and you cast that one instead.
Yeah, I can't think of the name of it either because I don't play it because I've gotten wrecked by it.
Yeah, I played it once. It's pretty cool. But you really have to know that enchantment really makes you know your deck like the back of your hand. It's like, what do I need? Any enchantment? Okay, let me find an enchantment in my hand and cast that instead. But
that is Possibility Storm.
Possibility Storm. Yeah, it was really fun to play against it. And it was really refreshing to see, again, another Jeskai strategy, a chaos Jeskai strategy kind of work out. And Ruhan, what a wonderful commander for a strategy like that. So very fitting.
Yeah. We have a friend that has crushed me with a Shu Yun the Silent Tempest deck. Shu Yun, again, we mentioned a 3/2 human monk, 2 and a blue with prowess. When you cast a non-creature spell, you may pay hybrid red, white, red, white. If you do, target creature gains double strike till end of turn. So this is a Jeskai deck that is winning with actually commander damage. So you can just use your extra turn spells or whatever it is that you're going to be playing with in your Jeskai deck just to support those the red, white, and blue colors. But I think it's really interesting that Shu Yun specifically targets things, right? Because you want to pump creatures as well to give them that double strike to kind of get in with actual combat damage. It's playing cards like Mavinda, Student's Advocate, the Bird Advisor that came out from Strixhaven. So you can pay 0 to cast target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard this turn. If it doesn't target a creature you control, it costs 8 more, but obviously you're going to be targeting a creature you control. Stormkiln Artist, Archmage Emeritus, Rip Apart, and Leonin Light Scribe, all cards that fit really well into Shu Yun the Silent Tempest. I didn't think about this commander getting so many new cards.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first Jeskai commander really that we talked about that really cares about combat. You can argue Elsha has prowess. You can argue Kaikar has the flying spirits. You could argue Gavi makes tokens or whatever, but this is really the first combat centric one. You're going to be putting in your monastery mentors that have prowess for your go wide strategies and hit things with double strike, and that's why you're finally seeing these Leonin Arbiters and stuff with these Magecrafts, because this is I also thought the exact same thing. Where is this Leonin Arbiter? Where is the uncommon 0/1 that gets +2/+2 for its Magecraft triggers? And it's good to see that we finally found a Jeskai commander that is playing them.
And this card specifically is the reason that I picked up a box of Fate Reforged from our lovely listener Cube Draft for a future boxing league. So I so badly wanted to build a deck based on Shu Yun, the Silent Tempest. So we'll see if when we do our next boxing league, if that Fate Reforged box has a Shu. It's a rare. It's not a mythic. So I've got a good shot of opening a Shu Yun.
Oh yeah. Oh, that'll be fun. So kind of on the opposite side, just to show the range that Jeskai has, think something that might hate combat is Pramicon Sky Rampart, which I have played against one time at one of our local game stores right about when it came out. So Pramicon Sky Rampart came in the same precon as Savine and Elsha of the Infinite. So this is, I guess, the second alternate or the third commander in the deck. So it is a 1/5 wall for blue, red, white with flying and defender that says as Pramicon Sky Rampart enters the battlefield, choose left or right. Each player may attack only the nearest opponent in the chosen direction and planeswalkers controlled by that opponent. So this particular deck really wants people to attack in a particular direction, but also typically if you're playing this particular deck, I think I said particular like 12 times in the last sentence. But if you are playing this deck, you are probably playing blink spells so that no one can actually ever attack you, and you can blink Pramicon after the player to your right takes their turn after they could not attack you, and then make it go the other direction so that the player on your left can't attack you either. So as one commander wants to attack every single turn, another commander here in the exact same colors might prevent people from attacking you altogether.
You know what's interesting about this is I'm looking at new cards printed that Pramicon might care about. And this Tempting Contract card for 4 colorless mana says at the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent may create a treasure token. For each opponent who does, you create a treasure token. Mm-hmm. That card seems really fun in a deck where you're like, no one's going to swing at me. So I guess take all the mana you want and do crazy things to swing at each other, right? Mm-hmm. You know, making friends. So even though they can't swing at you, maybe they just won't if they have the chance.
That's true. That's very true. Except you also are also getting the treasure, so they might see that and go like, "I see what you're doing here," and then you put out an anointed procession. You hoard your treasures,
and you play a dragon to protect your cave of treasures, full of your gold, and hopefully just win when they can't swing at you.
Here's the situation I'm imagining. You're resolving a Tempting Contract in your Pramicon deck, and you're wondering why everyone is looking at you with your eyes, and then it phases down to your board state, and you also see a Smothering Tide and an Aristic Study there. And you go, what did I do?
And there might be even like a Propaganda and a Ghost of Prison sitting there too. Maybe even a Mystic Barrier, so you've made it so no one can attack, period, with Pramicon.
Oh my gosh, are we putting out like a Solemnity and a Phyrexian Unlife as well? I mean, how hard are we going into this strategy now?
We apologize to anybody who's been personally victimized by Pramicon. If you've been personally victimized by Pramicon, raise your hand.
I'm raising my hand. Oh yeah.
I am not. I've not played against Pramicon, but that does seem like a very fun deck. Well, this was really fun. We want to thank you all for listening to the show. I think we're at the end here. We want you all to enjoy a wonderful holiday weekend if you are here in the US. As always, you can find me on Twitter at ATFlory.
And you can find me on Twitter at WormCoilEngine. And of course, we always want to give a special shout out to our editor and producer, Ryan Nichols. Thank you so much. And a completely separate but equally effective shout out to Chris Wolf, our graphic designer. Thank you so much. And we will talk to you all next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.